You remember the moment, don't you? You're watching the Amazing World of Gumball, probably half paying attention. Gumball's doing something dumb, Darwin's trying to keep up, chaos is unfolding like usual, and then Penny appears. But not just Penny.
Together. Look into your heart! You're herself! Okay, Gumball, here's... I bet you a quarter you can't copy everything I do. Okay.
Suddenly she's glowing, cracking, shifting, and then she's not a peanut anymore.
Penny! Here we go! I'm gonna be myself! What the what?
It's one of the most shocking moments in the series, and easily one of the most memorable. Penny Fitzgerald, the shy, antlered peanut who's been part of the show from the beginning, literally breaks out of her shell and transforms into a shape-shifting, ethereal, fairy-like creature with antlers, wings, and glowing green eyes.
No, Penny, wait! You look... ordinary.
No! It's a tragic could have been really easily avoided if he just finished his sentence in time!
And it's not just a temporary gag or a dream sequence. It's permanent.
Penny, please, wait! Gumball! Penny, please stop riding it! My sweat marks are reaching my pants! Gumball, that's
After
too
the
late,
Shell,
honey.
Season 3, Episode 20, Penny's design changes forever. There's no magical undo button, no back to normal episode. This is the new Penny. Weird, wild, powerful.
You look... What? Toilet bowl? I'm a disgusting baby! No, Penny!
But the question that's haunted fans ever since is simple. Why? On the surface, Penny's transformation is a metaphor, a visual representation of emotional growth, a moment of honesty, vulnerability, and acceptance, both from herself and from Gumball. The episode The Shell is essentially a coming-of-age story, told in 11 minutes. Gumball confesses his love for Penny. Penny reveals her true form. Gumball panics. Penny runs. Gumball chases. And in the end, he sees her for who she truly is and still loves her.
Hey, leave him alone. If he wants to wear karate clothes, he's brave enough to be himself. Besides,
It's sweet, it's powerful, and it hits harder than most animated shows even try to.
Would you still love me if I had an amazing six-pack,
But here's the twist. This isn't just a metaphor. It's also a statement.
had an udder?
but what kind
Because when Penny breaks free of her shell, the show isn't just saying she's growing up. It's saying this story can never go back to the way it was.
You know, just my usual trunks. And 3 bikinis.
Would you still love me if every time we kissed, I shouted?
Design-wise, Penny has always been a mystery. A peanut with antlers, no clear species, no obvious reason. Just a lovable, slightly bizarre classmate.
I'd say, what a coincidence! Under my breath after we kiss. Okay, what if I had a medical 10,000 times more sweat than the average person?
So when she transforms, it's not just her personality evolving. It's the show finally acknowledging the weirdness and leaning into it. Her new design is strange, unexplainable, and completely at odds with the simplified, cut-out aesthetic of early Gumball. And that's intentional, because by Season 3, the show had changed too. Early Gumball was weird in a fun, zany, anything-goes kind of way. Characters were simple, plots were wacky, and most episodes reset to the status quo. But by Season 3, the writers were starting to get bold. Emotional depth, narrative consequences, themes like heartbreak, identity, shame, and family pressure. Penny's transformation is part of that shift. It's a visual break, a hard reset that tells the viewer, hey, we're going deeper now.
Gumball, stop trying. You said enough.
And the writers don't shy away from it. Penny's transformation becomes a recurring element in her character arc. Her shape-shifting reflects her emotions. Her forms become unstable when she's upset. It's not just for show, it's symbolic and functional.
Don't worry, honey. I'll deal with this.
Hello? Is that pest control? Yeah.
She's no longer a passive background character. She's powerful, visibly unstable at times, and more importantly, she has agency.
I'm not letting you leave!
Gumball, no, you get hurt!
This shift mirrors a truth about adolescence. When you finally shed your protective outer layer, things don't just get easier, they get more complicated.
Oh, man!
Now let's be real for a second. Changing a character's design mid-series is a bold, even dangerous, move in animation. It breaks familiarity. It risks alienating fans. It changes the tone.
Wait a minute. Wrong backyard! Who's there? Oh, no!
But the Amazing World of Gumball isn't like most cartoons.
Be honest, it's pretty hard to know where the line is in terms of public decency in this town.
Rose, can't you see how distraught she is?
The show was already famous for mixing animation styles. 2D, 3D, puppetry, stop motion, all in the same scene. So Penny's evolution fit the show's DNA. Change is the only constant.
What if I asked you to come to mine and help me resolve a sensitive issue with my parents, please?
The time has come for an intervention regarding your dad's addiction.
Haha, it's a little more serious than that.
Still, this wasn't a simple redesign. It wasn't about aesthetics. Behind the scenes, show creator Ben Bacalé had hinted that Penny's true form had always been planned, but it took time to find the right moment to reveal it. The team wanted it to mean something, to serve the story, and that's what makes it stick. The show didn't change Penny for shock value. It changed her because her shell no longer fit the story she was meant to tell. If that moment caught you off guard too, when Penny literally shattered everything we thought we knew about her, hit that like button to let us know you're just as mind blown. And if you're curious about what her transformation really meant for the show, stick around. Subscribe so you don't miss the rest of the story. Let's be honest, in the first couple of seasons, Penny wasn't exactly front and center.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's my girl!
She was sweet, quiet, the textbook nice girl with a bit of mystery wrapped in a peanut shell, literally.
Right next to my...
Dude, what are you doing?
What's the problem?
She was a character Gumball pined over, crushed on, got nervous around. She smiled at his jokes, laughed at the chaos, and generally floated around the edges of his world.
Gumball,
What?
come here.
But here's the thing. She was never shallow. She was just contained.
His cheerleader girlfriend lands an amazing flip on a beautiful Sunday. I don't know what kind of reality you're living in.
Contained by her shell. Contained by her role in the story. Contained by how others saw her.
This isn't a sunny day. Secondly,
And that's what makes her transformation in the shell so important. It's not just a redesign, it's a shift in storytelling perspective. From Gumball's view of Penny to Penny as she sees herself.
what was all that about?
For the first time, the audience is forced to see her as something other than Gumball's crush. We're shown her fear, her power, her anxiety, and most importantly, her identity. And when she breaks out of that shell, she stops being a reflection of Gumball's feelings and becomes a fully realized presence in the story. This isn't just about character growth, it's about character liberation. Okay, let's talk about the forms themselves. Post-transformation, Penny doesn't just float around glowing prettily. She changes shape, constantly. Fairy, monster, flame, storm cloud. Her form reacts to her emotions, sometimes even against her will.
Social justice warrior. Fight me in an argument if you do.
That's not just a cool animation gimmick. That's character writing. Because the thing about growing up, about stepping out of who people think you are, is that it's messy. Penny's new abilities aren't always a gift. They're unpredictable. Sometimes she's overwhelmed by them. Sometimes she gets scared. Sometimes she lashes out.
My sister!
Your sister's so short she has to roll up.
And if you've ever gone through a major identity shift, whether it's emotional, personal, or even something like coming out or asserting your independence, you know exactly what that feels like. It's not just freeing, it's terrifying. Penny can now express herself more fully than ever before, but she's also more vulnerable, more reactive, more exposed. And this is where Gumball quietly does something brilliant, because instead of turning her into a flawless magical creature, it turns her into something unstable, powerful, but unstable. And that tells us something really deep. The transformation isn't always a glow-up. Sometimes it's a battle to stay grounded when everything inside you is shifting. Let's zoom in on Gumball for a second. In the shell, he initially freaks out when Penny transforms. And yeah, it's a classic cartoon reaction. Panic, screaming, running away. But it's also kind of real. Because when someone you love suddenly becomes more than who you thought they were, not prettier, not nicer, not more ideal, but more real, it can be scary. Gumball has spent the whole series crushing on Peanut Penny, Safe Penny, Polite Penny, the version of her that fit neatly into his world.
Well played, sir. Finally seal our love.
But the moment she breaks out of that mold, he has to reckon with a version of Penny that isn't soft and passive. She's sharp, she's glowing, she's terrifying and beautiful and chaotic all at once. And for a second, he doesn't know what to do with that. That hesitation, that fear, is painfully honest. But what makes the shell so powerful is that Gumball doesn't run away forever. He chases her down. He sees her again. And then he says the words, "You're beautiful." And not in a cheesy way. He says it while she's mid-shapeshift, flickering and unstable, antlers out, eyes glowing. He accepts her, not the idea of her, her. That moment, that single vulnerable act of love, is arguably the emotional high point of the entire series. It's the first time we see Gumball grow in a way that sticks. It's not about a punchline or a prank. It's about presence, about choosing to meet someone where they are, not where you wish they were. What's really impressive is that the show doesn't treat this like a one-off gimmick. Penny's transformation continues to ripple through the series. She uses her powers in later episodes, sometimes for action, sometimes for comedy, but always in a way that reminds you, she's different now, changed, free. She's allowed to be messy, to be angry, to be complicated. That's a rarity in animation, especially for a female character who started as the love interest. More often than not, these characters get stuck in place, serving someone else's arc, giving pep talks, or standing on the sidelines while the hero saves the day. But Penny breaks out of that, literally and narratively. Her redesign is a declaration. She will not return to the shell. She will not be simple again. And the show respects that. Even when she's not the focus of the plot, she's treated as someone who has grown. And that growth doesn't reset at the end of each episode, which, in the world of Elmore, is kind of miraculous. Because this is a show where reality resets all the time, where characters die and reappear, where destruction has no consequences. But Penny's transformation, that one sticks, and that makes it matter. Before the shell, the Amazing World of Gumball was brilliant, but chaotic. It was a comedy, first and foremost, a satirical, rule-breaking visual playground where jokes came faster than emotions. After Penny's transformation, something shifted. Sure, the comedy stayed. The absurdity? Still there. But now, there was an undercurrent of emotional weight. The characters weren't just reacting to randomness. They were reacting to each other. Gumball became more introspective. His relationship with Penny added depth to his character. We started to see him not just as the chaotic protagonist, but as a kid navigating real emotions. Insecurity, jealousy, even guilt.
What are the chances?
And Penny? She became one of the show's most interesting emotional barometers. Her shape-shifting powers, often tied to anxiety, love, fear, gave us a visual language for feelings that are often invisible. The show was still fun, still ridiculous, but now it could also break your heart. And that emotional versatility became one of its greatest strengths. In short, Penny didn't just evolve, she helped the show evolve with her. Here's something you don't see very often in kids' animation: permanent change. Not the special episode kind, not the lesson of the week kind. Real, story-altering, no going back change. Penny's transformation broke a silent rule that no matter how wild things get, cartoons always reset. And let's be honest, that reset button can be comforting. It means nothing is ever too heavy. No change is permanent. Nobody's ever really hurt, and everything can go back to how it was. But it also means growth can feel fake, like nothing sticks. Penny broke that illusion. She didn't return to her old design. She didn't learn her lesson and shrink back into her peanut shell. The writers made a bold choice. Let the change happen and let it stay. That decision made her more than just a side character. It made her a symbol, not just of change, but of what it means to commit to that change, even when it's uncomfortable. It sent a message. Growth isn't a glitch in the system, it's the whole point.
Terrifyingly intense.
Gotcha. No more marriage proposals.
Let's talk about the deeper layer, the part that makes this more than just a cool design swap. Penny's transformation resonates because it taps into something universal, the feeling of having to hide who you are. Whether you relate to that through gender identity, neurodivergence, anxiety, queerness, culture, or just plain not fitting into a box people expect you to live in, Penny's story hits home. She was quiet because she was afraid. She was contained because she didn't know what would happen if people saw what was underneath. And when she finally reveals herself, she's unstable, she's unpredictable, she's too much for some people, but she's also herself, fully and unapologetically. And she learns to control her powers, not suppress them. That's a narrative a lot of people needed to see. Because for so many, growing up isn't about becoming someone new. It's about peeling back the version of yourself you created just to survive, and revealing the version that was always there, underneath.
Look, you need to take things a little easier, okay?
Penny's story gives that moment of revelation a visual language. It makes identity feel visceral. It makes emotional honesty look like magic. Messy, glowing, powerful magic. And the best part? The person who loved her before still loves her after. That's the kind of storytelling that sticks with you. So, where does this leave us? It's just a cartoon, right? Just a peanut girl who turned into a shape-shifting light creature. But if you look closer, the shell and everything... What happens when we finally stop hiding? Not just from others, from ourselves. When Penny changes, she doesn't become someone new. She just stops pretending. And that change, while permanent, isn't perfect. It's messy. It creates new problems. It requires new trust, but it's real. And that's the part that hits the hardest. Because whether you're a kid watching this on your living room floor, or an adult looking back with hindsight and heartbreak, you feel it. That moment when someone sees you, not the version you show the world, but you, and says, "You're beautiful." That's why her design changed forever, because the show wasn't just redesigning a character, it was reshaping its heart. If Penny's transformation hit you harder than you expected, if it made you feel seen, or even just left you thinking, show some love with a like. And if you want more deep dives into the characters, chaos, and emotional gut punches hiding in your favorite shows, you already know what to do. Subscribe and join us as we keep unpacking the moments that changed everything.